Hi, I'm Annie Salas. Welcome to Anastasia Townsend and David Foyle, who have joined me for this next Meeting the Beloved chat. And a hail and hearty hello to all of you who will view this recording at some point. So, we've had our pre-chat shuffle. We're checking where we are, and we're finding that there's real synchronicity and resonance in the overall vibration and frequency of what we're experiencing. So we're going to launch with that. And I'm going to let David and Anastasia begin. The theme that we're going to start discussing first is, as if the sacred union dynamic wasn't intense enough and complex enough, we are also occasionally interacting with interference, deliberate interference that is trying to create separation in the union, that is trying to create separation within the self, and all of that gnarly, nasty stuff that the snake energies and the 3D construct, they just try to see if they can't wheedle their way in there and break up or distort the union, because this energy of ascension it's really getting some momentum now, which is why our changes are happening. We change in consciousness, the change in the external reality is like that. I mean, it's happening. It was happening fast before. It feels faster to me. So we're going to talk about interference. We're going to talk about sabotage. And we're going to talk about self-sabotage. And I guess that will have to bring us to a conversation about discernment, but I don't know when we'll get there.
Going into it, like, oh gosh, do you remember that question exactly that I had? Like, is it a current, like, feed on this and influence? Like, is this, I really wondered, because it looked like it could influence right, and was influencing right now.
I'm sure it in some ways appeared alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You asked if the timelines, if I thought the timelines were feeding it, the past timelines, and all those lives were still feeding it and energizing it. And if we collapse those timelines, remove that judgment, and fold those parts of ourselves back in with acceptance and love, then maybe it would stop feeding that trap, that insidious, multifaceted trap.
Well, I took care of it. Let's just say that. I did.
Yeah, of course you would. You're like, hey, I'm not gonna,
this is not staying here.
Yeah. No, this is one of those things that no.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing, because I wanna bring this around into the work that our soul group has done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this enormous thing that we've just cleaned up. All of our past lives and timelines integrating at one particular point, period, historical moment.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling, I think, in the last week, seriously, last 2 weeks, that it was like, oh my God, we're done. We did it. And watching the repercussions of having, in a sense, killed that thing.
Yeah. It just sort of does feel like that. Yeah, because I did several things with it.
What did you do with it?
Well, I definitely, me, if I see timelines that I can collapse, I'm going to do it. So I absolutely went after the collapsing timelines. I also just took the whole thing and moved it from this misalignment into alignment. And the other thing I saw after I got that done was, oh my gosh, men especially, get rewarded for this. Oh wow. Like, Well, I also saw squiggly things. I don't know what those were. Little black squiggly things. So those had to go too. Like I don't really know what they were. Like
I don't even want to know you. I don't care. Goodbye.
yeah, exactly. Like what? And then, but I found a medal. It's gets put around the neck. Like, oh, look at that. the the medal, the reward, and another sort of like cement it in place.
Absolutely. Do you remember when we were in the Dragoons Museum in Edinburgh?
Yes, the flat.
Yeah, and we saw the flattened discs of frequency that had been formed into medallions.
Yep. Yeah. And so there it was. I found it, and I was like, "No, can I have that, please?" And then from there, yeah. Can I? I always ask David, "Can I take that?" He's always like, "Yeah." Then there was also a couple lifetimes, maybe tribal, where I saw what I just would describe as pain bonding.
Yeah.
To these ideas of what a warrior, a man is. It was really interesting. It just plays into the whole distorted male thing that's going on. And I was like, well, we're just going to clean all this up because this is not what it is to be a man. This isn't it.
No, it's not. It's not. And I think the really dynamic and complex journey. Okay. I mean, I kind of want a whiteboard because I would be, dear. Uh-oh. I would be drawing things right now. Maybe I feel like I'm going to draw them in the ethers. This sense of just separating out. If I remove all of this, what's left? Who's left? What do I do?
Can you forgive yourself?
Well, we'll leave that for a moment, right? Leave that.
Yeah.
You got to have a self who can feel that forgiveness. And if you take all this other stuff away, what is left? Right?
Yeah.
So I feel this is really, really, really up in the collective right now with Divine Masculine.
Yeah. I mean, I know what I tell David is left. I mean, from my perspective, is space. And you know what I'm going to say next, which is room for more love. So, room for more love. Yeah.
And that's lovely for you to say. Yeah, that's lovely. But for the person on the other end of that, it's like, sure, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can't wait. So excited. Really, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're sifting all of that out and you're feeling all these parts and pieces, and you're recognizing that it's all this fragmentation that's been jammed into one structure.
Oh man.
Whoa. Ew. And we're calling this timelines, right? Oh God. I'm feeling a little nauseous right now, actually. All this stuff, and then you've gotta just pull it apart and pull it apart and pull it apart and pull it apart and pull it apart. You want to collapse the timelines, but you don't want to collapse the person.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say we're really careful about the container we create to do this. It doesn't
share more about what that is for people who are watching and who need to learn. We're doing this because we're learning.
Right, for sure. We're learning too, but we're real careful and it certainly is things that we've learned from you about in this particular time, what actually happened is we did an attunement, and what came in so clear. I was like, whoa, what is this? Because I was very curious of what it would lead us to, which is actually the silver violet ray energy. It was absolutely surrounding us, and I felt it in us too. So I was like, okay, this is different. I've never done an attunement and had all that encompass me like that. So I was like, okay. So, I mean, it led to some of the deepest, biggest work that we had seen yet. And nothing's been small, but this, like what you were saying, this is, and also, and every single time we're working on, the mother stuff as well for David. And I was like, oh, okay, I got another little piece for that too, which I think will ultimately be really helpful.
Really helpful, right?
Yeah, in terms of soul sucking, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
No wonder you're so offended by that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So in my union dynamic this past week, there was a really deep understanding about the layers of the masculine that is wounded by the feminine.
Yeah.
Oh, really, really, really deep, profound. And the way that it gets chugged out, right?
Yeah.
When the frequency of the vibration of love gets closer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm gonna, no, you're a grenade.
Yeah.
And then you have someone who's like, yeah, caught it, unpinned it, went into my heart, like, okay, I'm busy, and then and I made room for more love.
Yeah.
For both of us.
Yeah.
Right? And so now, it's going across the union energy, and it's getting to the divine masculine. He's like, oh, no, you didn't. You're like, oh, yes, I did. Like, okay, well, okay, so let's see. I guess that rejection grenade I threw at you wasn't big enough. Okay, I think I can make a bigger one. I think I'm gonna make a bigger rejection grenade, and I'm gonna throw it right at you, because this, no, you're gonna be removing. This is gonna dissolve a primary part of my absolute core structure, and there will be nothing left. And everything that has been built on top of this, I will have to deal with as false foundation. And no. Okay, grenade.
Yeah, that never goes well. I mean, it's not that is not easy.
It's not. And so if we're not dealing with our own work, right, then what that looks like lived in real time is codependency. Really, truly, this is what I worked out this week. This is my homework for this week. I was like, oh God, oh, sugar foot.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and then here comes, okay, no. I know how to get rid of you. I'm gonna throw I'm involved with another woman rejection grenade. Boom! And you're like, well, I already knew that. Caught that, unpinned it.
Yeah.
What you got left? Seriously, right? So all of that is about sabotaging the self, sabotaging the union, sabotaging the divine masculine, sabotaging the divine feminine, sabotaging the collective. And because we're too scared because of the pain bonding.
Yeah, it's big.
It's big, it's huge, it's so screwed up, right? Yeah, and our neurology is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And at the same time, the other part of our neurology is like, I can't keep going like this. I can't keep doing this. I can't take anymore. I really can't. Like what, like WTF, right? So you got this going on over here, and you got this going on over here, and you know, what's happening in the middle, in the alignment? I'm not sure, right? But it's going to be probably very disorienting, difficult, and most of that empty space will get filled with mind, not heart.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. And this brings me to what you talk about when you talk about balance. You talked about that a lot, I think, this last week.
Yeah.
In terms of not the match, but the balance.
Yeah.
And that softened so much for me in experiencing it this week, and realizing, because I mean, there's times when I have that sort of like, well, David's like, you know, he's really, really intellectually, you know, good. He's good. And so sometimes, like, I know that's not the same place where my smarts are.
Mm-mm.
And so I can understand a certain amount of what he's saying to me when he's talking about the work he's doing. And it definitely matches up to the work we're doing. And he can often put into some really amazing concepts what I'm talking about. Like he could describe, when I talked about what I think we even in the moment when I was telling him what I was seeing, he was being able to translate it into basically physics.
Of course. Oh, bravo, David. I love it when that happens. Like, really, that's such a turn on.